Hello, hello out there. I see some folks are jumping on, waiting for this to get started. We are super excited to have y'all here tonight on this beautiful day. Hopefully, folks got to enjoy the weather. And now are kind of settling down and ready to have a conversation about Black women in business. But I am Ashley Spivey. I am the founder of Ivy Black Girl and help to co-lead our entrepreneurship work with the wonderful Melinda and Nikki that y'all probably saw this weekend at our pitch event. So we're really here tonight to have a conversation around Black women founders and entrepreneurs. We have Dell Gines here, who led some groundbreaking research around Black women founders and touched on our Heartland region as well as nationally. And then we just have three bosses that are just leading companies and industries where we're not represented, that are giving back to other Black women founders through mentorship and capacity building and technical skill support. So we just really want to just talk and dialogue about how we can better support Black women in the business space. So with that, I'm excited to bring my friend and longtime supporter of Ivy Black Girl and our work, Community Development Advisor Dell Gines, who currently works at the Kansas City Federal Reserve Bank of Kansas City. That's the official name, right?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, good. I know it's long. I'm like, let me make sure I get this right. So Dell, we're excited to have you here.
You know what's funny is I forgot. So my home office, I don't know if you guys can see it.
Oh, your Ivy Black Girl pin.
Yeah, I got that with all my stuff, my little knickknacks, awards and different things like that. I forgot I had it there until you ended your
we gotta
introduction.
get you a shirt. We gotta get you a shirt that you could wear so you could really rap.
Yeah, get me one. But it has to be form fitting because I'm getting in good shape right now.
Okay, we can do that. I'll get you a medium. I'll get you a
No, that may be too form fitting. I'll be looking like one of those cans of busted biscuits.
Well, Dell, I'm going to go off camera and give you the stage to really just kind of dive into the research and the data that you found through your groundbreaking research. Sound
good? Ashley, just for clarification, we're going to do about 5 minutes of just some of the overviews of what we found, and then we're going to have a little bit of Q&A for 5 minutes, right?
Yep, that's
okay,
correct.
Perfect. Okay,
all right, the stage is yours.
All righty. So, well, first of all, I appreciate the work, Ashley's doing. I think she's a great leader in the Omaha community. I've always been happy, to support the great things that she's doing. And I'm just happy that Ivy Black Girls is up and doing some good things and really, working to strengthen and empower the Black women in our community here in Omaha. For those of you who don't know me, as Ashley said, I work for the Federal Reserve Bank of Kansas City. I'm a lead community development advisor, which means that I have responsibility for our 7 states and small business and economic development from our, from our community development side. And we really focus on low and moderate income populations and diverse and distressed populations as well. And so I've been doing that for about a decade now. And this report that I wrote I started the research in 2017 and we released it in 2018, is on Black women startups for the simple reason that Black women created 1 million businesses between 2002 and 2012, and literally nobody was really talking about it. They would say, wow, Black women, the fastest growing group of business owners, but that's usually where it stopped. And so we decided that it was important to do the research to kind of, lift up the profile and amplify both the importance of this, the significance of this, and also to examine more the opportunities and challenges that Black women businesses, present to us in America. So this is a long report, and you can go see it at kansascityfed.org /community, and you can navigate to the small business side of it and kind of see all that stuff we got over there. But just some high level things. Just like I said, first of all, most people don't realize that Black women started 1 million businesses. So that's significant. It's probably unprecedented in history to have one group of individuals start businesses so fast relative to their population. Now, Latino women started 1 million businesses too, but when you control for population growth, the Latino women grew much faster in terms of population. So when you control for that, there's nobody even close to the number of Black women businesses that were created. By far, the fastest growing group of business owners. And they outpaced all women-owned firms. For example, the 179% growth rate was almost 120% higher than all women combined. So all women grew by about 52% during that same period. Black women grew by 179%, and they grew across all categories greater than all other women-owned businesses on average. For example, Black women employer-owned firms grew by 45% compared to 13% for all women. Sales growth was 113% compared to 51%. So, like, all of these data figures, really, they mean something, but they may not mean a lot to you that aren't used to looking at numbers. But just suffice to say, take my word on it, that this is an unprecedented phenomenon that happened. And as a general statement, women as a whole grew faster than men as a whole, but Black women, just were super accelerated in that fact. But here's the reality of the situation is that still the majority of Black women businesses are very small, about $27,000 on average in sales, which is less than half of the next closest peer, which I believe is our indigenous population, Native American women, at about 54,000. So they're very small. They tend to be part-time businesses as a whole. But surprisingly, about half of the businesses that are owned are between women that are between the ages of 35 and 54, meaning that a lot of corporate women and business women that have worked in the labor market are jumping out and starting businesses. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that in half a second because I'm trying to keep this real brief. So when we look at kind of where they're at, however, the majority of Black women businesses are really clustered in a few service groups, a few industry clusters. So there's about 14 what we call industry groupings that are looked at by the census. Black women overwhelmingly are in 3 industries. So almost 7 out of every 10 Black women-owned businesses are in healthcare and social assistance. And within that bucket, you have your daycares, administrative support, and support, which is kind of your service-based class, and waste management and remediation. That's all one thing. And then other services. So very service-oriented businesses. These are businesses that really require a limited level of capital. Women can use their talent, their ingenuity, go out and start this business and generate revenue without having to spend a lot of dollars to get in other places. Statistically speaking, Black women own 0% of manufacturing firms in the United States and 0% of wholesale firms when you look at it. Now, of course, there's Black women that own some of those companies, but when you look at it across the bulk of all of them, there's very few. And so the last piece that I want to touch on before I hop back to Ashley to talk a little bit about Q&A, and if there's any questions from her or from the group. I just want to go through the top motivations, because that's really what I was trying to find, is what are the motivations? Why are Black women starting so fast? The number one startup motivation was negative workplace treatment. Black women felt undervalued or devalued on the job. Even those that enjoyed their job got fatigued by the job and decided to go ahead and launch on their own. The second startup challenge is lack of general business knowledge, which is interesting. I went and I asked, this group of women that I did these focus groups on around the region, and I said, what do you wish you had when you started? What was the biggest barrier? And it was lack of business knowledge. Therefore, if you heard me speak on this, which I've probably done like 50 times now across the nation, I use that LinkedIn quote, being an entrepreneur is like jumping out of an airplane without a parachute and building a parachute on the way down. The problem that I also followed up is say, Black women are jumping out of the airplane with a toothpick and a napkin, under-resourced and under-supported in that space. So if we can lift that up, that general knowledge, business knowledge is an important factor of that. So knowing what you're getting into before you get out there. And then, of course, the positive side is the startup support is positive support from family and friends and mentors and key individuals. And then what they recommend, the big two, are more increased mentoring, general specific business knowledge, and more peer training and engagement. And that's it in a nutshell. I do encourage you to read the whole report because there's some good stuff in there. And hopefully when we can get some updated census data, we can kind of do an update on it and kind of see if that trajectory is still going.
And I did drop the link in the chat so folks can access it. And it's also on our website under our Grow Work. So we do have multiple ways to access that report. So thank you, Dell, for that kind of grounding in the data. So with, IB Black Girl, we unapologetically center Black women, femmes, and girls. That's important to us. That's like, we don't mince words on that. And so for you coming into this kind of report, knowing that other groups that intersect with womanhood or gender identity are also growing. Like, why did you choose to really focus on Black women outside of us starting the businesses? Like, what was that motivation?
Well, I did a series of roundtables around the region called Entrepreneurship as a Economic Development Strategy in Black Communities. And this is back in 2015. And when I started looking at the data, I was like, this is astounding what I was seeing when I started looking at the actual breakdown of the data, not just the whole Black universe, but Black male, Black female. And then I was like, well, why is nobody talking about this? And so I went to my boss at that time and I said, look, I want to do some research on this. This is unprecedented historically, and nobody's talking about it. And as the Fed, we have a great national position to be able to amplify this significantly. And so she said yes. Then I had some things to do in 2016, so I couldn't get to it. Got to it in 2017 and released it. Personally experienced, and I don't even know if you know this, Ashley. So Black women business owners in Omaha, when I got fired from Omaha Small Business Network, were the ones that lifted me back up. So it's a way for me paying it back forward. At the Omaha Star, Dr. Marguerite, she right after I got out, she brought over, said, Dell, come over here and just do this stuff with me. She didn't even pay me. She said, just do this stuff for me. So I was there and I stabilized my environment. Then to this day, Judy Pearl Lee, Frontier Bag Company, second generation Black women business owner, she hired me to be the worst salesperson in the history of the world for a whole year. So it's a combination of professional interests, seeing the need to have it amplified, and personal experience and wanting to give back to those people that put in my life, which is why I put the report together.
Yeah. So, you talked about that of like this launch also being a part of like an economic development, right? Like perspective and strategy. And when we think about Black women leading like 80% of households having one of the highest pay equity gaps, in 60% of low wage jobs, like entrepreneurship can be a second, third stream income to change our economic trajectory, or just like, again, like that's our main job. And so I know you spend a lot of time in that space, but how do you see entrepreneurship being that mode of economic development for Black women?
Well, it's difficult. Like, one of the difficulties is you centering Black women, but there's a Black community. And so sometimes when you get too granular, you lose context of the whole. So I talk about the necessity of Blacks as a whole being more engaged in entrepreneurship. Black women already have momentum. So to me, it's a matter of logic to build on that momentum as an economic development strategy. We call it entrepreneurship ecosystem building, in most of my space, because, what we're seeing is this motivation that's already there, but this motivation is not supported by the necessary things to create kind of scalability and growth to the degree that it should be. I mean, because, we're sitting here, the thing that I would say around the nation is, we're giving Black women 5 cents. What would happen if we gave them $1? Like these things. And even if you multiply that million times $10,000, they still wouldn't be Black women still wouldn't have the same annual revenue as, let's say, their next closest peer group, which is Native American women. But multiply $10,000 times a million, and imagine all of that money coming back in predominantly Black communities and Black households to support Black families and Black kids and the Black environment and Black culture. So when we start looking at it from that lens, and we look at it from the disproportionate impact that Black women have in Black communities, you have to look at it and say, if we could just figure out a better way to do this, it's going to enhance our whole community and ultimately the whole nation, in my opinion.
That's awesome. So we are going to dig in and talk to some Black women founders that are doing big things in Nebraska. But before you go, Dell, what is like the one thing that you want to leave the audience with, whether they are working in professionalized spaces supporting entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs themselves? Like, what is one thing that you're like, okay, if y'all don't get nothing else from what I said, this is it?
Black women entrepreneurs matter. I mean, I'm not even using that in the Black Lives Matter context. I'm using it in the actual, just straight up. They matter to us. They're undervalued. We need to amplify their voices. We need to support them and put the necessary ecosystems around them, because it's going to have a multi-generational impact in Black communities.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate, Dell, you
Thanks,
being
Ash.
here. I will keep posting the link. We're going to bring you back because there's a lot of work that needs to happen here in Nebraska, and you are a wealth of knowledge and resources, and we appreciate the investment that you make in Black women, femmes, and girls.
And
So thanks for coming.
I appreciate you, and I'm waiting for my shirt.
I got you. I'm going
Extra
listen. I'm
large.
going to drop it off, because if I say I'm going to go to the mailbox, like the post office, I'm lying. I have a ton of things in my car, so I'm going to drop it off.
Thanks, Ashley.
All right. Thank you, Dell. Okay, so I'm excited now, right? Now that we've had this grounding and kind of understanding the data points and why supporting Black women founders are important, like again, to bring in three women that are building amazing businesses that give back to the community, that are employing folks, that inspire me on a daily, so that y'all can hear from them. And we're just going to have a little kiki in a conversation, just talk about all the things. So first, I would like to welcome Carmen Tapio. Hey, Carmen. She is the CEO and founder of Northend Teleservices. And then I have Candice Price. She is owner of Home Team Auto Sales and does a ton of things in entrepreneurship. She's doing capacity building sessions and all the things. And then I have Ashley Kuhn of Blair Freeman Group, who is the founder. Are you co-owner or is it just owner? I want to make sure I get it right. Co-owner. Yeah. And then my girl Miranda is there too. So, I probably should have like double checked titles. I'm like, but I know these women, so it's fine. So thank y'all for being here. And maybe if we can just go around for the folks that are watching that may not be familiar with their businesses, if we can just do 1 to 2 minutes talking about your business and what it is that you do. So Carmen, we'll start with you.
Okay. Well, hello, everyone. Ashley, Candice, Ashley, it's good to be with you and everyone that's watching tonight. I'm Carmen Tapio, and I'm owner and CEO of Northend Teleservices. We are an outsourced contact center, call center provider, providing services to both commercial and government entities. We are a 6-year-old business, and we are number 677 on the Inc. 5000 list of fastest growing privately held companies in America. And I'm feeling really good about breaking into the Inc. 500, which we will be submitting our application shortly for that. We happen to be the largest African-American owned business. We were for, I think still are, African-American owned business in the state of Nebraska, and the largest African-American women employer in the state of Nebraska as well. We have a mission of creating jobs and changing lives, so we're in business for good. We are located in Northeast Omaha, in the heart of North Omaha at 24th and Hamilton, and we're all about holistic care of our employees, advancing the lives of the people that work at Northend Teleservices through career pathing, and really uplifting the community. It's my philosophy that we shouldn't have pockets of double-digit unemployment in our community. And one of the things that we could do is bring jobs to the community, because we haven't figured out some of the issues and barriers like transportation to employment. We're here to dispel some of the perceptions about the Black community, and we're all about improving the lives of families. I started in a call center when I was 18 years old, and it literally took me around the world. And I want other people to know that if I could do it, they could do it as well. Strong believer and supporter in entrepreneurship, and that spirit that's within you that says, I can do something, and just following that voice and leading you to your path. I think many of us have that desire, and we don't listen to it. So that's one of the things I'll be talking about tonight.
Thank you so much, Carmen, and super excited for you to be here. So next, let's go over to Candice.
All right, if I can get myself unmuted. How's everybody doing? Carmen, Ashley. Carmen, I love hearing from you and all of the things you guys are doing over there at Northend Teleservices. You don't even know, my little cousin actually works for you there. Yes, at Northend.
Who's your cousin?
Her name is Shantae Brown. She just graduated from college in the summer, and so you're her first employer out of college.
Yay, good. I'm glad to hear that. Tell her to
full circle.
Right?
Yeah, I'm glad she's with us.
Oh, I definitely will. Yes, you guys have been amazing. And then I'm just so thankful for Dell and all of his research and everything he does, and helping to, bring this to light and everything that's going on as far as Black women in entrepreneurship. And so I am the co-owner of Home Team Auto Sales, which is a used car dealership here in Omaha. I am the only Black female licensed auto dealer in the state of Nebraska. And so, of course, representation matters. And so I'm looking for and, hoping that we have more coming along, for the future. And so what we do here is we try to help people of any economic background and status, whatever your financial situation, we want to try to help you get into a car because as Carmen mentioned, transportation to and from jobs is a big issue for us. And it's not just jobs, it's getting children to and from schools or the kids who are needing to try to walk across an interstate in order to get to school because they live just far enough where it's really too far to walk, but not far enough where they can get a bus. And so we help people, whether you're looking for a $2,000 cash car or you're needing to do payments or you're looking for a brand new vehicle, we can bring those in too. And so that's what we do. My business partner is Ron Devers. You kind of saw him walk through on camera a moment ago. And so I'm still here working. Typically, I like to be home by this time, but we still have things going. And so as an entrepreneur and as a single mom, that's what we do. We put in the work and we put in the time. And so I just love seeing the other women who are here doing the same. And I look forward to sharing more as we talk tonight.
Thank you, Candice. I'm so excited you're here. And last but not least, the other Ashley.
I got myself unmuted quick that time. I just have to give the blanket disclaimer. I'm also a mom, and my husband decided he wanted to cook right at this very second. So if you hear clattering and clanking, that's real life going on in the background.
Tell Chris he just needs to go now. We're busy.
Listen, mincing garlic and stuff in the background. I'm like, stop. But I'm Ashley Kuhn, president of Blair Freeman. We are full service construction, the only Class A women-owned or minority-owned contractor in the state of Nebraska. And our company kind of divides into three pots. We have owner's representation, which takes people from, I don't know what I'm doing, all the way through their amazing project being completed. We have the construction side, which builds your dreams. And then we have our brokerage side, which does sales and leasing from A to Z also. So really, Miranda and I started the company because we saw a gap, specifically in North Omaha, of people just not knowing what the process is, not knowing how to do it, not knowing where to do it, not knowing how to get the financing for it. And it's really a far less complicated process than everybody makes it seem. So we just wanted to make sure that we put ourselves out there, and we're a resource for development, building, construction, any of the above. And that's what we do.
And I'm just going to plug, because this is recorded, that Ashley's doing some remodeling on my house and is going to get it done in 2 days. So I'm manifesting that.
Lies from the
I'm manifesting
very big lies.
2 days. Okay. I've got a little project that I need going on this fall, Ashley. I'll be calling you.
Listen, I love it. I love it so much, but it's not going to be 2 days.
I know. She's like, you're tripping. 4 to 6 weeks. Okay, so Dell kind of touched on this about just, again, the representation in certain industries and not for Black women founders. And so I would love to hear from you all about the representation in your particular industries. I think you all are working in fields where you're like the first or only, right? Or that you're really growing in a different way. And so what has that representation look like for you? So Ashley, we'll start with you.
So, I mean, it's construction. We did the research on it. There's 2% of women in the industry, and there's 8% of people of color in the construction industry. So for us, representation is the pathway to streamline people getting into that industry. There's that comment of, if you see it, you can be it. We don't see it. And so Miranda and I are hoping to be the C and B factor of that. And we're also allowing for people to not have to be the top qualified in order to just get into the organization, right? Like, that's how I got started. Somebody took a chance on me, and here I am 15 years later owning a company, and I didn't have the qualifications of what he could have hired or needed to hire. They just gave me a chance. And there's a lot of us out there that just need the chance to get into something that we haven't previously seen. So it matters a lot in our industry.
Yeah. Carmen, what does that look like for you in the telecommunications space?
The representation of women owners on smaller scale. So in my industry, there are large, medium, and small service providers. Even some of the large ones, though, the challenge is that they put themselves forward as women-owned enterprises, but they're really not. So they receive the certifications as a women enterprise, but they're not in the business, day to day, leading it, running it, operating. operating it. And so I think the numbers are really misleading. I will say this, that in terms of Black women-owned businesses, very small percentage in the contact center industry. And we happen to be sort of a triple threat in that we are minority-owned, women-owned, but we also operate in a blighted area as well. And so there aren't a lot of businesses. There are very few businesses like Northend Teleservices in particular in our industry. But women-owned, it's hard to really know the true numbers because so many are not really operating the business.
Or Candice, what about for you? I know you mentioned and said that you're the only Black woman that's licensed, right?
Right, for the state of Nebraska. And so, overall, when we look at the big numbers, there's over 19,000 of the larger franchise dealerships for autos in the U.S. Only 256 of those are owned by people of color. When we look at women, less than 8% of the dealerships are owned by women, and then it's less than 1% for Black women or women of color.
Wow. So you are out there really representing and being a trailblazer in that space.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun in the things I do. I'm definitely in a male-dominated industry, like Ashley. And so, when I get out to the auctions or, I'm going to the different places where we get parts from or getting work done, typically our first conversations are pretty interesting, but they get used to seeing me. And so, I've been doing it long enough now where, they're used to it. So hopefully the next ones that come along won't be as difficult with them getting started, and people won't ask them where is their husband or,
right.
who for, are you sure which part you need, and questions like that. So things get a little bit easier in time.
So each of you inspire me in different ways, right? I feel like I've built a relationship with each of y'all, watch y'all, ask y'all questions, all of these things, whether it's my late night rambling or emails. And so y'all are my fangirl crushes, right? I am totally crushing on y'all from a business perspective. Y'all are brilliant, have families, all of these things. And so I'm interested, who was your Black woman business girl crush? Who inspires you? Who are you? Who do you lean on for that inspiration, as y'all have a lot to navigate? Candice, we'll start with you, and then Ashley, Carmen, just feel free to jump in.
Okay, sounds good. I actually have two. So my first one is someone that everyone should know, and that's Issa Rae. I absolutely.
That's my best friend in my head.
Yes,
in my head.
That's okay. We'll party with her together, and she doesn't know it. So I absolutely love her. I love how she got started. I love her determination. I love how she is always true to self, and it doesn't matter what's going on. She's about the community. That is what she is for, and she stands on that. She's proud of that. She doesn't shy away from it depending on the environment that she's in. And so that definitely gives me something to look up to. And then for my industry in particular, and who, I would hope to one day actually get to meet, is Miss Elena Fairhurst. She is the first and only Lexus dealer that owns one of the franchise Lexus dealerships. She has the 48th largest dealership in the country. She's out of Huntsville, Alabama. She's been in this auto game since 1968, and she's still at it. And so I really am hoping to have an opportunity to meet her, hopefully this year, if not the beginning of next, just kind of depending on COVID and how things are going for them in Huntsville.
Well, and it seems right, the year marking of civil rights and some national things, she may have some really interesting perspectives or experiences she had to navigate.
Definitely. So I'm looking forward to that opportunity.
Yeah. Carmen or Ash, who are y'all's? I should be a better moderator and say who I'm.
No, you're fine.
I'm not. I'm just going to let us look at each other.
So for me, there's this company on the East Coast called McKesson. And it is a company that was founded by a grandfather, I think in the 1930s, Black man. And now his great-grandchild has taken over this company. And they just got the JFK airport. It was a $2.5 billion project, all Black owned, run. The very top of the company is a Black woman in construction. And I'm just I watch them all the time, Googling to see what they're doing. Because it's so inspiring, because we don't have those kind of companies that we can say our grandfathers started it, because it wasn't an option. So to see that kind of a company that has paved its way through concrete, for me, it's super motivating.
But, and I think the dope part is this, with technology, this is going to live for a long time. So as you think about your kids and what you pass down, someone's going to be saying that about what you're building. So I think that's going to be dope.
Mine is a little bit unconventional, and it's not so much around a Black women-owned business. Mine is my mother, who babysat my entire life. And, you know, I come from a large family, military family. My father was gone a lot. And my mother, you know, she always had other people's children in our home, and she ran a daycare, always, always, always. And she ran it like a straight up business. I mean, she could balance her books in her head to the penny. And not only that, but she also, you know, other people's kids became a part of our family, became a part of her family. When couples might have been having disagreements or single moms needed help, she was always, always there for them. And so she is one. And then the other is, as I said, unconventional. I am just so drawn to Harriet Tubman, and I have been my whole life. You know, the firsts that she accomplished and what she, you know, went through and persevered and led, and, you know, she is a day-to-day inspiration for me still. So it's not necessarily in business. And when I really need to think about, you know, the hardships or what I aspire to accomplish, I look back at those two women, and really, really, it spurs me on and drives me forward.
And, you know, I definitely could see that, especially from like a social aspect. Like I think about the types of folks that you want to employ, how you support your, you know, employees. Providing wraparound support is not just about how they show up at work. You support other Black owned businesses. You've supported, you know, our business to cater for your employee. I mean, so like you can see that thread show up in how you do your work, which is awesome.
I'm glad.
Yeah. You know, you also said something that was interesting, and I did not send this question, but it just made me think of it. Y'all know how I do. Like just really about like Black women and the role that we play in community and business. Like I think about my grandma who worked as a caregiver, as a domestic worker, but yet we're not, right? Like I don't think we talk about what we had to navigate and how we still provided opportunity for our kids, right? While we took care of other people's kids and did stuff. And so I always want to explore that. And that always comes to mind when I think about opportunity and how that adds to generational wealth too, because we don't get a 401k from that experience, right? Like we don't have, you know, some of those things. So thank you for naming that in that way. Okay. So when you think about, right, like what is the next stage for your business? So y'all are doing dope stuff like that. We know that. Y'all are, you know, hiring people in community. Y'all are at the top of your game in your industry. Like, what do you hope to achieve next? Like, what will be that next big milestone? And who did I not start with? Carmen, we'll start with you.
Okay. Well, actually, tomorrow is going to be a milestone day that Ms. Ashley is involved in and Miranda are involved in. We are developing a new corporate office, and we will be working with the ladies at Blair Freeman to help us design and build our new corporate office.
That's amazing. Can I just have a drop in, like, Hugh? I just need that to happen. Like anytime.
You know, our conference room in our current building is a hangout for a number of people. Your brother is one. Bobby Brumfield is another. And so absolutely, you can drop in anytime you want, and we'll give you lunch. We usually give you lunch, and we'll start getting it from you, Ashley. Actually.
We'll bring it over from Best Burger.
Yeah. So that's what's next. And we had plans to do this prior to COVID. And then, of course, COVID happened, and that put everything on home. We have all of our employees that are working from home. But we've really rethought the need for a corporate office. We really don't need one. But we are committed to investing in the community. And so we're going to make that investment in building out a space, even though we could continue our operations working from home. Having people together is going to help, you know, just in employee development and culture and all of that. But more importantly, I think it's what it will represent and what it will offer in the community. And if that is more than a corporate office, we're going to have some community designed spaces, program spaces, retail spaces, hopefully housing spaces. So we're really making an investment in the community, and I'm excited, Ashley, to be working with you and your partner.
I'm so excited. Yeah. I'm so excited.
I mean, but those are the things, right? That like that gives me goosebumps, and it it's super exciting that y'all can collab together, right, to do these kinds of things. But it seems like there's alignment in your values, how you approach your work, so it makes it even better, to work with someone to kind of have and achieve your dreams in the next steps.
Mm-hmm.
And to make that impact together, really, it's not. Business is not always about just us. And I think when you have that greater purpose, the sky really is the limit. So
That's super dope. So Ashley, then what is yours? I mean, now you do this, and
so, and you know what, she brought that up, and it's like, so our focus as a company is capacity building, right? Instead of focusing on like how can we make the next dollar, it's how can we build somebody's next capacity. And so Carmen's reaching back and helping us build capacity, because she could easily we know Carmen knows everybody. Carmen is the mayor of North Omaha. She knows all the people. So she could easily just go with that established firm that she knows has done it before and can do it 70 times over. But to take that risk on a woman-owned, Black-owned firm is where that capacity building comes into place. And so we're hoping to keep doing that same thing that Carmen's doing. It's being really conscious of who you're choosing to do things with. It's being intentional with how you help people. And I just, in the 3 years that we've been in business, I can see the difference in us coming to the table to see, how much profit can you make us, versus us saying, what can we do for you? Because it always comes back full circle. And I can really see in even the 3 years that we've been in business, how focusing on other people instead of yourself at the end of the day actually ends up paying yourself back also. So yeah, I would say.
What is like one of your like biggest kind of like projects, right? Like when you think about it, because there's not other firms like you in the construction industry. Like what is a project that you have built that you're excited about, or that you're currently working on or will work on, if you can name it?
Yeah. So I probably can't name any of them for like set in stone, but I can tell you that we're working on 12 projects on the North 24th corridor, which there hasn't been any construction on the North 24th corridor in 25 years, but to have 12 of them going right now, for me, is just like, that's where I'm from. You know what I mean? And so I can already feel the change of North Omaha. And for us to be the center of all of that, just, it moves my soul. I love it.
That's exciting. You're getting lots of love in the chat. So Mother Nancy, we should have brought you on, Mother Nancy, too, because she is a boss and I love her. So Candice, what about you?
So for me, or for us, for the dealership side, we're currently working towards actually purchasing another building, and we will know something. Yes. So but because we do other ventures also, we're not quite sure yet exactly which will be going there. And so we're looking forward to that, knowing more information on that in the next few weeks. And so hoping that goes well. If not, we'll be start the search over with looking for another. But our ultimate goal, of course, is to become a franchise dealership, and that's to also offer a service center. So, for Omaha, for Nebraska, that would be like the H&H, the Baxters. There once upon a time was a Black-owned one here in Nebraska, and there hasn't been, I don't believe, since the 80s. And so, we would like to have another one here. And so that's our ultimate goal. If I were to dream my wildest dream, though, in automotive, it would be to have an actual Black-owned car manufacturer. So instead of Ford, Volvo, it would be by a Black, person, a Black woman. I would love to be the person to, own something like that. So that's my long-term wildest dreams. Once my daughter, who's in college for civil engineering, maybe I'll whisper it to her, and she can work on that for us.
Well, look, and Ashley could build your building. Carmen can take all your calls and fill your orders. Like, you got your team.
Everybody is together.
I love it. I'm
right in there.
That is so amazing. Right. That is so amazing. Okay, so we're
Can I just say something? Candice, on that note, we need to connect after this, because I'm going to connect you to a Black-owned top 5 billionaire roundtable manufacturer that is interested in cultivating women entrepreneurs manufacturing in the automotive industry. So let's connect on that.
Definitely. You'll be receiving an email from me tonight. So
you'll be in town in 2 weeks.
Yes, I'm like so emotional. This has been like an emotional week. I'm like trying not to cry, because that is just so beautiful, right? Like, I think there's always this misconception, and it may be some people's experience that it's like a crabs in a barrel, but I have not seen that with you all, and just other Black women and founders that I network with. Like, people are wanting to support. How can I help you? There's space for everyone. And so just, again, even y'all inspire me and being my mentors and folks that I go to for advice, just to see that happen like here. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh.
Thank you, Ashley, for putting it together. And, it's probably because we kind of know the secret. The more you share, the more you get back. And so
Yes.
every time I'm, sharing or trying to give some knowledge to someone, I end up gaining and learning something at the same time, or even being on here, to try and share or look what was just, brought to me. And Carmen, it's so funny because Frank Allen with the chamber has been saying, you guys need to connect. You guys need to connect. So I'm glad we'll have that opportunity.
Well, and then to piggyback on that, I feel like if you're good at what you do, you don't have to compete with people by taking them down. I feel like you automatically are like giving the disclaimer that I'm not good at what I do if you have to badmouth or compete unfairly with people. So that crabs in a barrel is, I feel like it's nonsense unless you're not good at what you do.
Exactly. I agree. Yes, Auntie Nancy, abundance. Like, we come from a place of abundance and joy, and there is enough. And I think you all definitely embody that.
Yeah.
Especially even just folks in the chat that are here too. Like, I'm just really excited that we just kind of created this space to love on each other as founders. So thinking of that, like, this is a good segue. We only got like 2 minutes left because I said I was not taking up all your night, and we could really like get a drink, sit back, like have some conversations, but we all have things we have to do. Like, what advice would you give to the Black women founders that are out there watching? Like, something that you felt like would have helped you early on in your career, or something that you use now as like your mantra to remind yourself? Like, what is that advice that you would like to share with the other Black women founders that are in this space? So who would like to, I'm going to name someone because I'm going to be a good moderator. Ashley, would you please start?
My biggest advice, and I do it to my staff and Miranda all the time, is what's the worst that can happen? And I feel like if you walk through all the scenarios, you usually end up with like, oh, well, then let's try it. Because I think in taking leaps, you tend to like over escalate all the bad things that could happen and undervalue all the good things that can happen. And so we talk ourselves out of so many opportunities because we're like focusing on that one bad thing that could happen. And I always like, what's the worst that can happen? And usually when you walk through it, you're going to find yourself back at like nothing, like, really nothing. So yeah. Go for it. I'd say work backwards. Ask yourself, what's the worst that can happen? Ask if what's the worst that can happen is tolerable. And if it is tolerable, then go for it.
Yeah. I think that's so true, Ash. And I think about like taking that risk on yourself, right? Like, bet on yourself. It'll be all right. We'll figure it out. Like, I love that. And I think that's so important, especially if you're the first or only in that space, right? Like, really investing and believing in yourself is so necessary. So thank you for sharing that. Candice, what about you?
Yes. And to piggybacking on what Ashley was saying, and I get this from my business partner, he'll say quickly, it's not a loss, it's a lesson. And so, when she's like, when you just, figure it out, nothing bad really ends up happening. And even if it does, it's a lesson. So now we can, move forward and know that's not the way to go next time and, get better. One thing I did want to mention, especially with you mentioning Nancy Williams, who was on, I'll be working with her soon. I just recently accepted the position for the Grow Nebraska Women's Business Center Director.
Yay!
So, yes, that's a effort that's along with the Small Business Administration. So Nebraska was selected out of, there were 20 across the nation for women business centers. And so Omaha will be getting one here shortly. So very excited about that. And specifically to develop women in business. And so, right along the lines of just what we're talking about and everything that Dell has done his research on. So excited about that. I would say for advice that I would give to Black women in entrepreneurship is to stop feeling like you must do everything on your own. Simply because you may have been let down before, or someone may have not come through before, doesn't mean that when people are offering help, offering advice, offering assistance, that you shouldn't accept it. No one is going to help you and then want to try and take credit for everything you've done or accomplished. If someone wants to help you with something, allow them to. And sometimes it may not always be specifically in or on your business. It may be hey, I've cooked, you want to grab something to eat, I'll bring something by, or I can help with your kids, or, whatever's going on. Or if they do want to specifically help with your business, allow them to. We're so strong now, we're so tough, and, oh, no, I'm fine, no thanks. But it's okay to accept. It's okay to say yes. So that would be my biggest bit of advice, is to take a break sometimes and allow someone else to do a little bit of the lifting for you. There'll be plenty more to do later.
Absolutely. And we deserve it, right? Like, we deserve folks to help in and tap in and make sure that we're good and not having to carry it all by ourselves.
That's
so
right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, Carmen, what do you got for us?
Well, a couple of things. I mean, I totally agree with everything that Ashley and Candice, both said. I think just to add to that, you don't get what you don't go for. I think so many times we know it in our head, we know it in our heart, we turn it over, we turn it around, and then we talk ourselves out of it. And along with that, there's always an opportunity for a yes after a no, but not if you quit. And so I've had a lot of no's said to me in my life and as an entrepreneur, and you just have to keep going back until you get the yes. And sometimes that means you have to change what you're doing a little bit, refine what you're doing a little bit, but there's a yes. And then the final thing is, we have instincts for a reason, and our instincts are never, ever wrong. They're never wrong. We just sometimes choose not to listen to them, or we choose to modify them so that it, it fits the situation. We have our instincts for a reason, and we have to always, always, always. And you learn that when you get to be my age, right? You kind of finally figure it out. If I were to listen to my instincts every time I was aware of them, so much. But that's part of life. It's part of life, but you learn it. Listen to your instincts. They are never wrong. Never wrong.
Oh, this was beautiful. I wish we had more time and could sit and just chat all night. Y'all are getting a ton of love and support in the chat. This video will be live. It takes about 10 minutes after we end, so you can always go back and look at the comments. But there are a lot of beginning entrepreneurs that appreciated the time together. Folks congratulating y'all on all of the work that y'all are doing. And so I have
to interrupt. I wouldn't be the capacity builder I was if I didn't say, go to blairfreeman.com if you need help. My website is on there. Please, please reach out for real.
And I also want to say congratulations to Ashley and Uni for the grand reopening of Best Burger as well tonight. So Entrepreneur getting it done as well.
Yeah. Yes, I know he's been trying to call me. I think they're sold out. It's been a busy day. Good. Listen, and I went there trying to look all cute. I was like, I'm just going to greet people and say hello. Like, I had my whole little outfit on. He was like, go to the store. We're going out of this. I had to change clothes and got all sweaty. Like, I was like, oh my gosh. But I guess this is the life, right? But yes, so for all of your construction, residential and commercial, like I said, I've worked with Blair Freeman on numerous projects on both sides. So please visit them for your car needs. Hit Candice up. I just messaged her about a catering van. I'm about to buy my little sister a car. Like, hit them up again. And she also, outside of just on the dealership side, is doing capacity building through her now formal role, but even before that. So think about how do you connect with her, just to create space and peer networks. And then Carmen is such an inspiration and just a mentor. If you need support building your business and have a need, right, for that phone service, we were just talking about some opportunity as we think about building our products out. So again, like, you just keep networking with each other, utilize the brilliance of these women on this video, because like, we got sometimes, and we love on each other in a way that no one else can. And so I appreciate each of you for taking time out of your busy schedules to be here tonight. Thank you for the jewels that have been dropped, honey. Y'all have said a word. And I'm excited to see what each of your businesses do and how we can keep supporting Black women, feminine girl founders in Nebraska. So with that, we will wrap it up, and we will see y'all soon.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. Candice, congratulations. Ashley.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
Bye.
See you soon.